I am going to show you guys the comparison of where I predicted every team to finish in 2022 on the NRL ladder and where they actually finished. So these are my predictions right at the start of the year before the season started. Let's go here. All right, here we are. Quickly whip this up before the stream. So on the left, you can see this was my predicted ladder right from the beginning of the year, where I thought every team would finish in 2022, and this was the actual ladder. The Panthers, I predicted that they would come first, win the minor premiership, and they did. I feel like that was a straightforward one. I think pretty much everyone would have the Panthers coming first. Yeah, not much to say about that. I expected them to be dominant. The Sharks, they came second, and they completely exceeded my expectations. I thought they would come seventh. I knew the Sharks, I was really confident the Sharks would play finals footy. They'd make the finals with the signings they made, Craig Fitzgibbon, Nico Hines, and Dale Finucane in particular. 3 key signings. I knew, and the Sharks had already made finals, all like thereabouts in the previous years. And I knew that like with the same squad, but with these key, brilliant additions to their team, it was only going to push them up. So I thought they'd make finals, but I didn't expect them to click so quickly. So I had them just coming 7th. But to come second, just incredible, yeah. And the Cowboys as well. The Cowboys threw eggs on everyone's face this year. No one expected them to finish this high. Of course, I had them in 16th. I followed the trend and like a lot of other people's predictions. Yeah, no one could see the Cowboys coming. We all know the story. Finishing third, I had them getting the spoon. Wow, I was wrong. Yeah, Cowboys, amazing. I think Todd Payton deserves Coach of the Year. Of course, it's argued that Ivan Cleary, due to his consistency and taking the Panthers to another top 2 finish, the 3rd top 2 finish in the last 3 years, or Craig Fitzgibbon at the Sharks, like coming second. They won up to the Cowboys with a new coach as well at the club, but the Sharks were only coming from 9th last season. I think it was 9th. Cowboys coming from 15th. So to come all the way to 3rd, I think Todd Payton deserves Coach of the Year. They are incredible. We all know that. 4th, Eels came 4th this year. I had them 5th. So I knew they were always going to finish thereabouts. And yeah, I nearly got it right. I was only 1 place off. So, but yeah, so they slightly exceeded my expectations, finishing a place higher, finishing the top 4. So, yeah, well done to the Eels. The Storm came 5th. I had them 2nd. I was like, just never going to put them below the top 2 because I know that, I think when I've been predicting my ladders for previous years, I've always been like, oh, surely this is the year where the Storm just drop a couple places. Like even if I have them coming 4th or 5th or something like that. And then the last few years, I've just had egg on my face. They're always top 2 every year. So I was like, this time I was like, no, going to finish like top 2. They always do it, despite like some of the players they've lost. 2nd, and wow, finishing 5th for the first time, outside of the top 4 for the first time since 2014. Yeah, it's a different Storm, and I wonder what their outlook is over the next few years. I wonder where I should predict them next year. I feel like I have to still predict them in the top 8 because until I actually see the Storm not finish in the 8, I won't believe it. Despite how many players they're losing next year. As for the Roosters, they came 6th. I had them 3rd. So, but look, the Roosters are about 3rd or thereabouts in terms of form at the moment. They're about the 2nd to 3rd best team. So it's about right. It's just, I wasn't expecting their start to be so slow. Thought they kind of like click into gear a lot sooner. I have the Roosters as possible premiership threats next year if they don't win this year. And like possible minor premiers as well. I might even put them at the top. But who knows? It's a long way out from the next year. But I just feel like the Roosters are on the up. Took them some time at the beginning of this season for all their for Keary and Walker to click and for all their whole team to click. They've got it now. And that's going to roll into next season, I feel. The Bunnies came 7th. And I had them coming 6th. So yeah, I was only one place off, around the same area. I knew the Bunnies would drop down just a little bit from last year's grand final berth. But yeah, they ended up like even losing a place lower than I expected. I didn't want to be too harsh on them and put them down too much because I knew they still had a good team and the Bunnies always seem to make the finals. However they can. But yeah, look, they're thereabouts. I'm fairly happy with that one. The Raiders coming 8th. Yeah, had egg on my face for this one as well. I had them 13th. I was pretty confident that the Raiders would have a pretty poor season, and it was looking that way the start of this season, and somehow Ricky Stewart has been able to turn it around, and the team turn it around, finish in the finals, and honestly, so deserved. I mean, the Broncos should have made it, but the Raiders deserve it. And I feel like the Broncos just should be in the finals. I'm a little disappointed they are, but like after the last 3 weeks they've shown, I just couldn't care less. The Raiders have been amazing. Yeah, I had the bottom 4, 13th. So got that one wrong. The Broncos 9th, I had them 11th. So I had them missing finals. Sure looked like I had gotten that completely wrong for most of the season, but look, they ended up missing finals anyway. The Broncos are an interesting one because 9th seems like a really good season as compared to last year, rising from 14th. But like when you consider the context of what's happened this season and where they were at points in the top 4, the fact that they didn't make finals is just so disappointing. I didn't have, on paper I didn't have them finishing as high as 9th. I had them 11th. But the Broncos could have been a lot higher this year. The Dragons finished 10th. I had them 8th. Despite finishing 2 places lower, they didn't disappoint me this season. I was like I felt like I was taking a risk with the Dragons, putting them as my top 8 schmoky. I feel like the top 7 I was really confident they'd make the finals. And then it was just about filling that last place. And I thought Dragons were the schmoky. There was like a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk about Dragons getting the spoon or like being really bad. And then like there was also a lot of talk from experts like poo-pooing that idea, being like no way, Dragons have the squad to even make finals. And I jumped aboard that train, thought they'd just sneak in at 8. And honestly, they came close. And I'm still super impressed at the Dragons this season. Might look like they had a really just quiet, boring season, finishing 10th, a couple wins below the 8, but the Dragons of old, the last few seasons would have dropped a lot of these, especially these last few games when they were out of finals contention in the back end of the year, but they kept they didn't drop off. They didn't drop off for the whole season, and they came away upsetting. Upset. They were only 1 place away from the Broncos, but they beat the Broncos when the Broncos had everything to play for. They ended up doing it in the final round, and props to the Dragons. I thought they had a really good year, despite finishing 10th. It's really hard for me to predict where they're going to finish next year. I feel like, even though this year was so impressive, I feel like I'll still have to put them down a few places for next year's ladder, but they always seem to do me wrong, the Dragons. They always seem to prove me wrong. Manly finished 11th. I had them 4th. The disappointment of the year. Oh, God. Yeah, I think a lot of people had them in the finals and possibly top 4. I sure did. They finished 4th in 2021. I expect them to finish 4th. Again, top 4 may have even been bold, but come on, finals, surely. I think everyone expected that. But yeah, Manly keeping the trend that they haven't made consecutive finals since like 2013 and 14, I think. Basically, they've gone in and out of the finals every year since 2016. So 16 they were out of finals, 17 in, 18 out, 19 in, 20 out, 21 in, and this year out. So that means next year, man, we play finals. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Bulldogs came 12th. I had them 14th. So I think I had the Bulldogs a little higher initially, but then I was just like, oh, but I can't like put some of these other teams like the Raiders or the Warriors any lower. Like I was like, so then, you know, because Bulldogs were coming off the spoon, I was like, I knew they were going to improve. I knew they were going to have a better 2022. But I just feel like I couldn't put them above some of the other teams, which I ended up getting wrong. But so I had to settle with 14th for the Bulldogs. But honestly, 12th is about where, yeah, it's about where I had them. And it doesn't shock me, but I'm still impressed. It doesn't shock me that they climbed as high as 12th, but I'm still impressed that they did. I knew they would improve. And it has been an improvement. I know they were out of finals for a while there, but yeah, excited for Bulldogs next year. I think they'll make finals. Titans 13th, jumping up 2 places in the last round with a sneaky win. Otherwise, they would have been 15th. But I had them 9th, so I overestimated them. I even had Titans in my top 8, I think, for a little bit. And then I was like, oh, Dragons might sneak that last spot. So I had Titans in 9th. Yeah, I mean, pretty fucking disappointing year for the Titans. They only started to hit some form in the back end, winning a few games, and that just cleared them of wooden spoon, really. But the Knights 14th, I had them 10th. So actually, I got the Titans and Knights in consecutive places, but just a lot higher than they actually went. The Knights is like the only team that I like bumped up. I had them lower, and I'm so disappointed that I had them 10th because they were nowhere near that good this year. They were terrible. And they were only like, they were lucky to be 14th. They could have even been 15th because the Warriors weren't far behind in terms of points differential. And I can probably only see them going down next year. But the Warriors, and yeah, the Warriors 15th. That's even what, like, how did the Warriors finish 15th? I honestly don't know how they did. It just like doesn't seem right. I didn't expect them to finish like much higher, but like as low as 15th, like just didn't feel like they did that badly this year. But then also you start to think of it and you're like, oh yeah, they were actually pretty fucking terrible. I had them 12th. So like I was like probably never like, oh, they're going to play finals. I don't know when the Warriors will, but like the Warriors, like they always come around 12th. Like for the few seasons before this year, they were always like 11th, 12th, 13th. So it's just like I pretty much always put them there. They came 15th this year, so that'll be interesting how I approach them next year. And of course, the Tigers getting the spoon for the first time in their conjoined club's history since 2000. I had them only 1 spot above in 15th. I like, you know, at times I was like, oh, they'll win the spoon, but then I thought I'd put the Cowboys there. Wrong. But yeah, I only had them 1 place higher. I knew the Tigers would be shit. And they were. They were even shitter than I was expecting.